All right, so I'd like to welcome you to our first guest lecturer class period of this block. This is a class that I always really enjoy, mostly because I don't want to overstate this too much, but I love who you get to hear from today. Brother Thueson is the director of the Purchasing and Travel Office here at BYU Idaho, and was my boss for about a year. And this is one of the truly great people at BYU Idaho, and we have a lot of great people. And I just can't tell you that how much how highly I think of Brother Thueson. And I've invited him here today to talk about supply chain, purchasing, the education requirements, his path to getting to where he is today. And also just to give you an opportunity to ask some questions about the job prospects and the education. And more importantly, I think that every time that he talks to my students, he brings out the importance of BYU Idaho and taking advantage of the time that you've been given while you are here in Rexburg. And so with that, let's welcome Brother Thueson.
I'm grateful for this opportunity. Mike Thueson. I've been at BYU Idaho for, well, they're telling me I'll start here on I think it's the 26th, it'll be 25 years. I don't, most of you aren't that old. That's so sad. I'm as old as dirt. And anyway, but it's been a wonderful experience. And I hope to get into some of that with whatnot. So, but we're going to start with a quiz, okay? And we got to go quickly, so get your phones out. And yeah, whatever we do on this, okay? Okay, so everybody ready? We all good to go? Okay, so answer this one. Cash is, and tell me what you think here. Quickly, this is, I don't think you're grading this, right?
Nope.
No points. Okay, well, I should be worth all points. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're good. All right, and the answer is cash is what? King. Cash is king. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if that's part of some show or whatever, but cash is really king. Why? Why is that relevant? And by the way, cash is liquidity. Yes, it's true. But cash is king. Why?
You can't do anything without it.
You're handicapped if you don't have cash. And likewise, on the other side of that, if you have debt, right? That's just like putting handcuffs on. It really is. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not a great finance guy, and I know if you're taking a finance class, they're going to talk to you about leverage, and that's fine, and that's great, and that's wonderful until the music stops, right? And everybody runs to find a chair. If there's no chairs, you're in trouble. But cash is really king. Think about the really great big organizations. What do they have? They have cash. Apple, what does it have? Cash. Google, cash. Amazon, cash. They have lots and lots of cash. And I know that we don't have, personally, we don't kind of live like that. But boy, I'll just tell you, the best thing in the whole world is if you can start living like that. And so I would encourage you to be savers. And if you're getting to a business and you're the CFO or somewhere in that business, you should think about having cash or savings so that you're flexible and you can adjust and you go to wherever you need to go. Okay, any questions on that? We can talk more about that too. Okay, next question. best way to increase your profits is to understand what? Best way to increase your profits is to understand which one of these. And one might say it's all of the above, and it's true, but I think it's the best answer. This is the world according to my theory, right? Okay.
Which is the correct world.
Which is the correct world, yeah, because I'm here. So, anyway. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What do we got? And the answer is expenses or market. Expenses is the best and the most important. I think market's important. In fact, they're all important. But to understand truly your expenses, okay, will help you understand your bottom line and how you can increase your profits. I want to take a quick example of this. If we have sales of 100, okay, and we have our cost of goods sold. So this is more of your variable costs, okay? And we're going to have that be 50% or it's 50. And your fixed costs, we'll call them, your fixed costs are 40. How much profit do you have? 10, okay? Well, how can I change this equation in my betterment so that I can make more profit, okay? And one might say that the market is the market, and to get more out of the market is just not there. There is a supply-demand curve, right? Economists will teach you all about that. And sometimes there's just no more sales to be had. You've sold all that you can sell, or you're in a very confined type of market, and there is no more sales, okay? So if my sales are going to remain the same, and by the way, even if you can increase sales, what else is going to increase? Everything else is going to increase, right? And at the end of the day, I'm still left at 10% of whatever it was. Even if it went to 150, by the time it works all the way through, one might argue I get a little bit of bump here on my fixed cost, because if I have capacity in my plant, it'll stay the same. And I have very, very little increase. And I could make some more money that way. But that's a tough way to go often, all right? Our fixed costs, let's talk about that really fast. How many of you want to take a 50% cut or a 30% cut in your salary so that our company can make, 50% more? Anybody interested in that? Nobody's interested in that, right? And by the way, my fixed costs are really kind of fixed. I've got a contract for this building that I'm in, and they're not going to renegotiate it with me here probably. So they're fixed. And so to pull off anything right here is really tough. It's really, really tough to do that, okay? That's why they're called fixed costs for a reason, right? They're fixed. This is a good time for your story about us going to follow.
Can I tell that?
Yeah, this is a perfect time.
So, what Mike is about to show you here is extremely valuable, and it applies to business, but it's also incredibly important just for personal finances. And Brother Thueson's a great teacher because he did this to us and all of us that were on Mike's team. We were on a business trip. We were down in Salt Lake City. I can't even remember what we were doing, but
that's irrelevant because you work hard and you play hard. That's the key point.
And we had fun.
Work hard, play hard.
Yeah. So we had some fun, and we went to, so after a day of whatever it was that we were doing, that night, Mike got the team, and we were going to go watch a movie at some theater. And we walk in, and we get in line to get our tickets. I'm just remembering how weird it is to think that we used to be in lines with other people.
To get
anyway.
tickets, yeah. To go to a show, right?
So Mike's up front, and he gets to the worker there first, and he immediately starts negotiating the price of the movie ticket. And I'm like sitting there kind of semi-horrified, like, we don't do that. Like you just pay the ticket price. But Brothers Thueson asked if they had discounts for educators. And anyway, this person working, she's like, let me check. And anyway, she goes and comes back. And it turns out that they did have a discount. And he saved us all a few bucks, but in the aggregate, it was some serious money.
You get 10 people, 2 of us got it free, kind of.
Yeah.
The bottom line is, just by negotiation or positioning yourself, whatever, I can often save 20%. That's not, you worked for us for a year, right? Isn't that true? You can often save 20%, right?
Yeah, pretty much every contract was 20%.
Yeah, you can find a way to save 20%. Now, if I save 20% right here, what does that equal? So if I change this and drop this by 20%, what's my answer here? 40, right? And my profit is 20. How much increase of profit? 100%. I don't care who you are, but in my opinion, that's leverage. So talking to the finance guys, right? And I think that is great leverage. To be able to reduce my costs by 20% and have a 100% increase or return on my bottom line. I think that's pretty awesome. Okay. So does that make sense? So understanding our expenses, our cost of goods sold, our cost to make a product, to buy the raw materials, to really understand what's going in the manufacturing and the supply chain part of it, there's big time opportunities and big time savings. My dad, by the way, I'll just stop here for a second. One might ask, well, how in the world did you get into procurement? For heaven's sakes, that's not like a glamour career. I'll be honest with you. It's
not working Wall Street.
Yeah. So anyway, but my dad, when I was growing up, he owned this tire store, local tire store here. It's now Point He owned that, and he would, I always thought, well, that's about this one day in the tire store. But I would watch him, and he spent a lot of time in his books. He spent a lot of time going over invoices and in his books. And I asked him, I said, Dad, how come you're here and you're not out working? And he goes, I'm working. And he said, Mike, my understanding and my control of my expenses makes me as much money as anything else. And he taught me this, that by the way, he pays his bills, so he takes advantage of a 2%, 10, and 30, right? Or he watches and he takes advantage of a buying opportunity. Because he can't sell his tires for any more than what the market's going to bear, right? Or people will go another direction. So his sale price is kind of fixed. But what he buys it for, that variable part right here, that's where he made a lot of money. And so he kind of taught me that understanding and controlling your expenses is really important. And that was kind of my first experience with procurement is understanding that. Anyway, long and short of it, I was actually, believe it or not, at Rick's College way back in the day. I was actually in zoology and biology. I thought I was going to be a doctor. I decided I wasn't going to be a doctor. My senior year at BYU, that's when I decided I wasn't going to be a doctor. So I just finished, and I went and took the GMAT. You gotta have a GMAT to go on to MBA school, right? So I took the GMAT. It was a foreign language to me, I'll be honest with you. Like, I didn't understand most of it. But I got a score. I applied to BYU's MBA program, their program. I got in. I couldn't believe it. I got in. I think the reason I got in is because of my diversity. Like they never had anybody from zoology apply for the MBA program, right? They had engineers and stuff, and they got tons of business people, but they had nobody in biology. And so I applied and got in. And they advertise. They actually tell you, here's the high score on the GMAT, and here's the low score on the GMAT. I don't know how many people had that one, but I know who had one person that had it. By personal experience, right? And so I got in, and I ended up graduating in the top 10 in my class. So, you know, I had to learn the language. Accounting is the language of business. I hate accounting. My boss is an accountant, and he's telling me that was a poor choice. But anyway, he's my boss.
This is why we get along so well.
But you have to know accounting. You have to know that. That's required for business to get that. But I just wanted to show you really that power of negotiation, the power of understanding your expenses and controlling your expenses will allow you to be a better business manager. And by the way, this is exactly transferable into your own personal life with 100%. You can do a business, you should be able to do it personally. Okay? All right. We can maybe talk more about negotiations in a minute. And how we do some of that. Okay. What is the primary mission of Brigham Young University, Idaho? And the answer is, where's our answer?
They get to fill it in.
Fill it in. That's right. That's one of those funny word things that you put up there.
That's right.
So why does BYU Idaho exist? And how come we only have other I know essays, this is kind of like 3 words or less. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're kind of there. Let's see what we got here. Why are we here? Why do we exist? To become a helping educated student, right? Is that what that says?
Let me see if I do this, I can scroll down. Students succeed.
There's a lot of diversity there. Okay, who is the one that said help become a disciple of Christ? Okay, wait a minute. These guys, where's your PA? These guys need to start, okay? Anyway, BYU Idaho exists for one primary reason only, and that's to help you to become a better disciple of Jesus Christ, period. Everything else is tertiary to that, and you're going, what? Are you kidding me? I know you are, and you should, but let me explain, okay? Its primary purpose is to help you become a disciple of Christ. This is a super expensive endeavor for the church. Incredibly expensive to have BYU Provo, BYU Idaho, Hawaii, etc. In fact, for every dollar you put in, the church through tithing fund puts in $3 or $4. Okay, highly leveraged your education. Okay, for your benefit. Okay. Therefore, I'm going to talk a bit about being a good steward about that right now for a second. You know, to be quite honest with you, you can go get an education about anywhere. And I know that some of you are here going, well, it's a super cheap education. It's not, guys. You're dang expensive. And actually, when I'm negotiating with our vendors, I talk to them about this. And I said, look, this is like philanthropic type education. We're offering education to our students. at about a third the cost or a quarter of the cost of what it really costs us. And so for every one of you that comes into BYU Idaho, you're actually an expense to the college. Now, we're not kicking you out because, you know, that's the best way to save money, just kick you all out, right? Well, no, that's not our purpose. But your cost is money to be here. And you're expensive. You're really expensive. And your tuition doesn't come close to covering it. Not even close. Therefore, I want to encourage you and invite you to be really good stewards of that educational opportunity. There is over 800,000 people in the church that are in your age demographic worldwide. 800,000. The very most that we're helping or teaching right now in all of the CEO or all of the CES is 100,000. So the fact that you have an opportunity to have an education, you're 1 in 8. All right? To have an opportunity to be out on campus, it's less than that. All right? So I hope you realize how important this opportunity is. And guys, it's not just to go get an A. It's to get everything you can out of every class you're in. Okay? This is not a time to be lazy. This is not a time to just get by. And please do not cheat yourself. All right? Don't cheat yourself. Don't go, I'll put that off for tomorrow, or I'm going to, you know, whatever. I'm going to give you a secret. The very, very best way to get through school, and from now until your doctorate program is finished, okay, is to treat it as a job. You're self-employed. All right? Now, I will say this. If you're working for me, when would I want you to be to work? I mean, on time is probably what time? 8 o'clock, right? 8 to 5. That's our kind of normal business hours, 8 to 5. If you're a really good employee, you're going to show up at 7:30 and you're going to work till 5:30 or 6 because you're invested and you're there, right? I encourage you to get out of your apartment, to come over to the I Center or wherever and find your office. Somewhere on this campus, find your office. Buy a plug-in, you can power up, and it's your office, okay? And you come to work, and you work from 7:30 to 5:30. And you just work on schoolwork. And you go to your classes, and you do everything you're supposed to do. I guarantee you, if you'll employ that pattern and that habit, you'll be a fantastic student. And you'll also be someone that I would love to hire. And you should teach that and talk about that in your interviews. That look, I worked for myself in education, but as I went and got my education, I got up, I did my thing, I was out the door by 7:30, I stayed until 5 or 5:30 or 6 or whenever was needed to get the work done. And then when you go home, you go back to your apartment. Your apartment is a safe place and it's a haven. It's not a place to do homework. It's a crappy place to do homework. It's too much distraction. I'm sorry, I understand these things, okay? It's way too much distraction. You go home and you date and you play a video game or do whatever, but then you get to bed by 7 or by 11 o'clock so that you can get your 8 hours and you can get up and we do it again, okay? Does that make sense? Now you're going, that's the stupidest thing. That sounds like what my mom would tell me to do, right? And mom's right. She's flat out right. I know some of you are going, well, I'm just finally 18. I finally got out of the house. I can do whatever I want. You can. You can do whatever you want. And you can drive that car as fast as you want and crash it. Okay? And you'll end up burning. You will. You'll end up flaming your GPA. You'll end up flaming your opportunities. I'm just encouraging you. Treat it like a job and work hard and get everything you can out of this education. And this is a disciple preparation center to become like Christ. And it's a time for you to do that. You should be highly engaged in your Sunday activities. You should be ministers. You should take care of your brothers. Okay? You should learn to do that. How many of you return missionaries?
You got a bunch of you. I'm just going to tell you, I'm a stake president here on campus. I'm just going to be really blunt. As a missionary, what did you learn to do in your mission, in the mission field? Huh?
Teach.
You learned how to teach. You discipline. You learn how to schedule. You learn how to be Christ-like in the mission field. You absolutely learn how to be Christ-like in the mission field. And I got to tell you, one of my most frustrating things that I have that I deal with all the time as a stake president is return missionaries that come home and they go back to the same thing way they were when they were in high school, or worse. Okay, because they got more independency now. And they go back and they blow up their schedules. They play stupid video games till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they get up at 2 o'clock and go, what happened to my day? Right? And they just sit in front of the couch. They're not out. They're not doing what they were taught. And in the mission field, you learn how to be like Christ. All I'm saying is stay and stay in your missions and be like Christ. Okay? And many of you are preparing now to go find a spouse. Well, I'm sorry, this is to the girls and the guys. You got to become better. You got to work to become your very best you. And then God will put it right together for you. It works. It's perfect. Okay? I don't know. I preached, didn't I? Sorry.
Stake presidents are allowed to do
I'm
that.
sorry. For one more year. But any questions about that? So why are you here? You're here to become Christ-like. By the way, we're going to digress for one quick second. Sorry, this is not a religion class, but this is the most important thing in the whole world. You have to know these questions: the who, the where, and the why. Sorry, moving around. Okay, really quick. Who are you? Who are you? A son of God, a daughter of God. If you don't have a testimony of that, if you don't know that, I want to invite you. Reach out to some people that can help you and understand that and let that be a testimony to you. That you are a child of God. That is so important you understand that. Now, next question, where did you come from? Heaven, I like heaven. Heaven's pretty good. Where else? But what describe that? What does heaven mean? What does heaven mean? Who is there? Father. Heavenly Father was there, right? God, Father, right? Where does Heavenly Father live? Where's the place that he can live? In a celestial kingdom. So where were you at? You were in Heavenly Father's celestial kingdom. I don't know how else. That's just the easiest way to think about that, right? When people tell me that I came from a pre-mortal existence, that means nothing. I don't get that. That means you lived before you were here, right? But no, understanding that I came from heaven, where I came from my Father's presence. And how long, by the way, have you lived there? Well, council in heaven was, I don't know, at least 8,000 years, 6,000 years ago. You spent most of your existence in a celestial kingdom. So who are you? You're celestial beings. We'll start living like celestial beings, okay? You gotta realize that. That's who I am. I just need to be a celestial being. That's why this place exists, is to help you become a celestial being. Right? And by the way, why are you here? To become like them. And you know what? If it's 11 o'clock and you're still in bed, or your roommates are still in bed, they're not doing a very good job of that. You just aren't. And if you won't get up and be involved in your Sunday activities that you're supposed to, that you need to be in, you're just not doing a very good job of that. And by the way, I told you, each and every one of you, male and female, this is what you got to be doing all the time, is working to become. Working to become. And that's why BYU Idaho exists. Okay? So my friends, Get everything you can out of this wonderful education, okay? And please become a disciple, leader of Jesus Christ. Become like him, okay? Any questions about that? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be preachy. I know you want to hear business. No, that's the most important thing, it really is. And it flows into everything that you're about, everything you're about. Okay, next question. Is that helpful? Is that helpful? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I did pour this, we could spend more time on this. You are gathered into Israel if you are blank to let God prevail in all aspects of your life. Okay, fill in the blank, and we get. And by the way, this is a big deal. Our prophet taught us so well in conference about this. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, good enough. Okay. If you're willing, yeah. Why is that such a big deal? Why is it? Yeah.
Because God has given us our inheritance, and because He has given it to us, we cannot take it back. Like He cannot be like, "Oh, I want it back." No.
Well, he could.
Oh, yeah, He could, but He's not going to do it because He has asked us to see if we are one.
That right there is a wonderful principle, my friends. If you can understand that why about this willingness, our willingness to make these choices and do what we need to do, such a huge blessing. By the way, it took me 30 years to figure that out. I don't know, maybe 40 years to figure that out. And by the way, I understand your society right now is all about who? It's whatever I want to do. I'll do it how I want to do it. I'll do it when I want to do it. It's just about me, right? Our Father in heaven says, no, you'll really arrive when you're willing to do it the way I want you to do it. And whatnot. But by the way, this week's how about this? Because it's fun. Why does God give you commandments? Protect, bless, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so absolutely, these are benchmarks, right? Yeah. To be like him. That's why he gave us commandments. How many commandments does God keep? He keeps all of them except for 2. I just don't believe he's conceited enough to worship himself. Don't think that's what he is. And I've never ever in my life seen his tithing check. Okay? Now it'd be huge. But he doesn't pay tithing. But instead he lives a law of consecration, and so you're all he thinks about. And you're the only people, he always is thinking about you. He's doing everything he can to not take away your agency, but give you every opportunity that he could. Okay? Everyone. But other than that, he keeps all the commandments. He doesn't lie, cheat, or steal. He doesn't do anything to his body that would offend it and take away its agency. He keeps the law of chastity in everything. And that's just not a sexual law. That's about cleanliness in our thoughts and our actions and our communications. It's everything. It's everything. He keeps all of those. And he gives us these commandments to invite us to be like him. And if you start thinking about commandments that way, life becomes super easy then. I'll be honest with you. Okay. Well, this is not a religion class. You got to remember that. It's not a religion class. Okay. But everything is relevant. Religion is relevant. And who you are is absolutely relevant. Okay, next question.
We're good.
Is that it?
That was it, yeah.
Okay. I want to, how much time do we have left?
About 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to open up. Any of you have any questions? Anything at all? Yeah.
I guess part of CPA is like kind of cultural spiritually. It's like a bullet shock and culture. So you have staying spiritual cities.
Yeah. So you have to make this switch. We're easily distracted. We're squirrels. We just squirrel everything, right? Chase everything around. You have to remember first, this is primary answer, and I don't mean to offend you that way, but it's so simple. What would my Father want me to do? What would Christ do, and what would my Father do? And you approach everything like that. Like, you're getting ready to take the math test. But that's the first thing. How would Father want me to take this test, right? And what would I need to do to prepare for it? Or, I'm heading home. Just ask him the question, where do you want me to go? Which way should I take this way or that way? He may not care, and he may say, no, I think you should go this way, right? But you always, you put him first in your mind all the time. You're always remembering him. He's always first in everything. Is that tough? That's super hard, because that's not who we are, kind of. We're kind of selfish people, right? And to put him first and have that. What would Father want me to do? I think that's the greatest example of Christ. That's how he lived. What would Father, what do you want me to do? And then he would do it. And that's relevant. And you know what? Our Father in heaven, he wants you to be successful. He wants you to be really successful business people. He does. It's not that he wants your tithing money. He just wants you to be really successful. But he wants you to be really successful fathers and mothers and husbands and wives. That's first and foremost. And then parents and community leaders, and really great at your job. I mean, Brother Hales, he's a fantastic teacher, but he's a dad and a husband first by far. Okay, that's the priority. So it's putting that up front and the main priority. Great question. Other questions? I want to talk to you a little bit about negotiations, right? Everybody thinks that's really cool. Is it Will Adam Shatner? I don't know. The negotiator, right? That's just a bunch of crap. That's not how it works. If you act like that, you'll not have any. Okay? Not probably. The most important thing that you have, and you should always have, is your integrity. Okay? It's the very, very most important thing that you possess. And if you don't have it, you better get it. If you've lost it, you better find it. But your integrity is paramount to your success in life. Okay? It's really who you are. All right? And it's the same in business. It's everywhere. Okay? And you're saying, well, what does that have to do with negotiations? It has everything to do with negotiations. When I sit across the table and I'm negotiating with one of our vendors, okay, they have to know that what I say and what I can commit to, I'll do. All right? They have to know that. Otherwise, I'm the wrong guy to be talking to. And so, who we are, what we say we are, and what we're going to do is critical. We have to have integrity in that. Okay? That's probably they're not going to really, well, they might teach that in some business ethics class, right? But your integrity has to be always above reproach, completely always above board. Okay? Does that make sense? I can't overstress that in any way, shape, or form. Your integrity is paramount to your success in everything. Okay? In negotiations, my integrity, or that I can actually do what I say I can do, is critical. And as we sit down, we're in negotiations, and by the way, let's pause for a second before we sit down. What are we going to do beforehand as we negotiate? What's critical to have beforehand? Yeah, the relationship's important, but more important than that. What do I need in order to negotiate really, really well? Cash, yes, cash is always helpful. A plan, let's go dig more into that. What's part of my plan?
end goal.
Okay, I've got to understand what I want. So that's, again, part of my plan. Okay, so I'm going to start gathering information. I want to know what's important for my vendor, right? I want to know what's important about the product or service. I'm going to do my homework. I've got to do my homework. I've got to know everything I can about the subject matter of what's going on. And I'm going to bring my expertise, my end users maybe, to be right here by my side, to whisper in my ear or to help me or whatever, right? But I have to understand, and that's the evaluation phase prior to negotiations. I want to get all the information that I can about what's going on. And then as I sit down, as I have information, and in the procurement world, my commodity is information. I'm an information broker, right? My commodity is that information, how I use that, and leverage that, and use that to put the deal together. Most deals come together just like this. Because the seller has things he wants, which is cash, right? That's what he wants. And I have cash, and I want these product or service. And so most deals we can put together really well. I was actually on a call yesterday with HP. We're going to change the way we do our buying this year. Instead of going out for a traditional RFP big buy, because of lead times. Lead times are 4 to 6 months for some computer items right now because of the pandemic and our supply chain is really tight. It's really tight kind of really. So we've actually said, look, we want to short circuit the time it takes to go out for this. What can you do, HP, to help us get to where we want to get to? We used you last year. How can we leverage our relationship and everything else? So we're in the middle of this. This is good. This is a fun negotiation. And we're probably going to actually save money over what we did last year because they don't have to spend as much time in going through the processes. Okay. So it's that's kind of fun. Another thing, really fast, I got a question for you. How many of you have cell phones? Everybody. Okay. If I could get you, so I've been doing cell phones here at the campus for 12 or 20 years. And well, it's been fun. BYU Idaho, Rick's college back in the day, we were the beginnings of areas of unlimited calling and other things like that. But it's always been really fun. And our cell phone, we actually use the church's leverage. So again, leverage is important, quantity. We have about 10,000, it's about 30,000 phones, okay, that are on these accounts. BYU Idaho itself has 7,000 or 8,000 phones. And you're looking at it going, we don't have 7,000 or 8,000 employees. That's right, because all my kids are on it, okay? So we decided to take our leverage of our employees and their base and add that to our numbers, go back to a vendor and get a better deal. We've always had probably one of the very best deals in all of the whole world, okay? Currently, I'm just curious, I'm gonna take a poll over here. If for $20 a month, it's bring your own device, so you can't get on a contract, but it's for $20 a month. Unlimited data, unlimited text, unlimited call. It's on Sprint for T-Mobile. Who is interested? Yeah, anybody interested? Just raise your hand or not. I gotta see it. I want to see how high it is. It's good. It's really good. So yeah, it's available to you. Go down to the bookstore. We finally got it available to students. Bring your own device. You can get on the fly. In fact, you can take your spouse and you bring your mom, and we don't care if you bring everyone. I like them all. So yeah. I just want you to know again, that's that leverage of pulling people together, putting a plan together with an end goal. That was paramount in negotiating and putting this deal together. It's been a pretty good deal, right?
My parents got on it, and they were even shopping around. I've got my brother-in-law works at Walmart, high executive there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get you on the Walmart plan. It's the best in the world." And we found out our deal is better than what Walmart is getting. So that's how good it is.
It's a good plan. So I know there's $15 plans on It's a pretty good deal, if you're interested. So, enjoy. Another thing about negotiations, and somebody talked about this, is the relationship. That's a part of my world. That's a part of the supply chain that I actually really love. It allows me to go golf. It allows me to sit down at a really nice good dinner, etc. And
There's some good perks. Yeah.
those are kind of the few things that are nice about it. Yeah.
You can travel a lot or not that much.
So during COVID, no, but prior to COVID, yeah.
So like just around the country or?
I've been to India, and then I've been to a lot of places. Our office, literally, we buy everything that you guys use. The internet, power, gas, carpets, paint, lights, curtains, projectors, your computers, the desks. We really procure everything comes through our office. Pretty fun.
On average, how long does it take you to negotiate a deal with somebody like HP or, homes?
So it depends on the scope and what's going on. So if all I'm doing is buying a desk or whatever, and it's really simple, you know, a couple weeks or whatever, right? I've been on some other deals that honestly have taken 2.5 years. Just because they're so involved and so in-depth. And it's not that they may be really, really a lot of money. It's just that there's a lot of risk or there's a lot of moving parts to it. So not always is dollars, you know, more dollars, you know, whatever. I'm actually to go build the ice center. I was part of that negotiation team. And it was probably the easiest, probably one of the easiest RFPs I've ever done in my life. It was 1 page to build the ice center.
Mike, can you explain what an RFP is?
Yeah, so an RFP is a request for proposal. And we will take that device or that an RFP, a request for proposal. We'll put in there all of our requirements and specifications, everything that we want. Okay? We'll go do our homework and figure out what it is the end user really wants. Okay? We'll then put that out on the street and then invite vendors to make proposals back on that. And they'll fill in all of our questions, and then we'll use that to evaluate and understand what they can offer to us. And then we take all those and look at them and evaluate them and make a decision of who's the best one to go to. And often we'll take our top 2 and we'll start negotiating with our top 2 about really understanding the details and this and that, clarifying. Most of our negotiations is clarifying and just verifying that what we're asking is what we're on the same page, right? Sometimes we get into pricing negotiations. And I was born to do that. Oh, okay. Anyway, so it just kind of depends. To build the ice center though, it was a 1 page. It was really interesting. I just wanted to know 2 things about each of the general contractors. I wanted to know who their team was, because that's critical. Who their team was, who was going to be taking care of the day-to-day business. And I wanted to know their profit margin. I wanted to know we're basically going cost plus. So if my cost is 100, how much they're going to mark it up. I was able to negotiate 0.5% off of that, which was 20-ish%. And it was millions of dollars for the ice center. So those are fun things. I don't know.
Tell them how much money you've saved cumulatively in terms of temple costs.
So I've been able to save in my 25 years enough for the church to buy 6 or 8 small temples. So that's.
I really think we need a plaque with your name on those 6.
It's kind of fun. Anyway, go ahead.
So do you work for the church?
So when I was first hired, I worked for the church. We were a satellite office up here, but we now are underneath BYU Idaho's umbrella. But I still have all my relationships with the church. In fact, we leverage each other's contracts. Like the cell phone contract, we leverage that. But we'll also write contracts that they leverage. For instance, Procurement, you guys use that all the time, right? We're the biggest user of that, you know, BYU. So we negotiate that before we have the policy, yes. It's really fun, actually. Okay, what else? What did I miss? What do you want to talk about?
Your golf story is always important, I think.
Okay, sure.
Before the start.
Yeah.
So I know for supply chain management, there's different things you can do, right? Like there is a procurement management, there is a logistics part. So I know you're in the procuring, but which would you say is the second like most like sought after, like you can say, underlying career in supply chain management?
So broken down into supply chain, you have the logistics part where I've got to have raw materials and I got to have this and we put it together so we can have the final product. In our world, it's more contracts. So I'm developing a contract with an end user and then making sure that we get what we want. We do a lot of contract negotiations. In traditional supply chain, you're going out and working at XYZ company manufacturing. You're probably not going to be the negotiator of the contracts. You're going to be managing the logistics of orders and things like that. I personally kind of like the more of the contracts. It's got more of the relationship side to it. So that's where negotiating things in. Yeah, the golf story. Okay. So yes, I'm not very good. Hack.
He's lying.
I love golf. He beat me. We played top golf. He beat me. I can't believe it, but he did. He beat me. Did you just throw the balls into the thing?
I just got lucky.
So anyway, but I was out golfing with I don't know if it's the tournament or whatever. I was golfing with this rep, and we're out to play, and we're at par 4 or whatever, and this guy's over here in the rough, and he goes over to his ball, and he goes like this, kicks his ball into the middle of the fairway. I'm just kind of going, what the heck, right? I didn't say anything, but just kind of. Well, at the end of the score, I said, "What you did?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a 4." No way. Okay, right out of 4. We go to the next hole, and boom, it's off into the left, and he's in the tree, got it, whatever. He didn't. All of a sudden, the ball goes up again on the fairway. What'd you get? Oh, yeah, I got a par. I got 3. What? How do you do that? At the end of the day, what did I do? Well, I made a phone call. Who did I call? His boss. You know what the conversation was? I said, look, I would really like your company, but if I have to use him as a rep, I'm going somewhere else. Next week I had what? I did that. Okay? Why?
It's just a game. Yeah.
It's a stupid game.
So my dad's always told me that golf is the easiest way to talk to someone about it.
Yeah, it is. I've probably not been very happy with my swing and wanted to break the club. Okay, it happens. But he just cheated. I don't trust him. I couldn't trust him. Everything that he would say or would do for me, I would always feel it was suspect. So that goes back to that integrity side. And just who you are, what you say. That's a poor guy. I don't know. He's not, he didn't work for me. Any other questions? What else did I miss?
We're good.
If you're interested in the procurement field, our office, we hire about 11 students. We're kind of particular because it's a kind of a job that we need you. You can say you're going to be there, and you're working hand in hand with one of my professional buyers. I've had some students come through and they've bought millions of dollars worth of products. But they've actually used that work experience and actually translated into experience into their job. So they actually were able to, one guy was actually able to leave BYU with 2 years of experience. It actually went to work for the government. And he actually got it wrong, two levels for better pay because he had experience. So we do allow you to be part of our negotiations, and sometimes you're also part of, I think some of you will do your own negotiations, things like that. So it's a great job. Well, we got to have you here. We don't like people coming and going. We don't do track very well. We do all year round. But if you're interested in there's a way for you to look at that. We also look to have people here for about 2 years. So if you're a senior and you're going to graduate, that doesn't work. But if your sophomore year after, you really want to get into see what this is like or the supply chain. I don't even need that hierarchy per se, just because my buyers pick who they actually work with. Kind of fun. It's a good experience. It's better than cleaning toilets. So, it's actual real world work, right? So I'm grateful for this opportunity. I hope that in this process or in this experience, the Spirit's touched you, moved you, that it's enlightened you. It's taught you to maybe think differently or act differently. And I want to invite you to follow up and act upon this promise. If you've been nudged in our conversations to make a change, then make the change. Okay, this is how it works. Make the change. Go make yourself better. Be better. I'm grateful for this time to be with you. I know that there's a purpose and a reason why you're here. It's not just because, well, my mom applied for me here, whatever. No, you're here for a really great, grand, and a wonderful design purpose. And if you'll take advantage of it, it will be a huge blessing. You'll be able to come out of BYU Iowa with really great. I hope that it's more education. It's a great place to get your liberal arts to begin. But I highly encourage you to get your master's. That will serve you well. I'm grateful for you and who you are. Love to help you any way I can. I bear my testimony to you that, again, this is about building God's kingdom. It's about taking care of these children. It's about us becoming like the Son of God. About us becoming. And I say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.